r/TIFU by cosigning my ex's loan who called my sister trashy at grandpa's wake. Hashtag chunk 1, the wake. I watch my sister's shoulders shake as she sobs into a tissue, her whole body trembling with the kind of grief that can't be contained or polished for an audience. Grandpa Joe was everything to us, the steady force, the one who showed up, the one who actually gave a damn. And now he's gone, and Emma's crying like her heart's being ripped out, which, honestly, it is. The funeral home is packed. We're in that weird space between the viewing hours, where people cluster in pockets of muted conversation, the air thick with flowers and that particular sadness that only funeral homes seem to manufacture. Our family is scattered throughout, aunts and uncles offering their condolences, cousins sitting quietly in chairs against the walls, mom holding dad's hand like she's afraid he'll disappear too. Emma's in the corner near the casket, and I move toward her, already reaching for a box of tissues from the side table. She needs her big sister right now. We all do, but Emma especially. She and Grandpa had this thing, she'd go to his house every Sunday afternoon, and they'd watch old movies and he'd tell her stories about the good old days that were probably half fabricated but she loved them anyway. That's when I see him. Justin. My ex-boyfriend. Standing in the doorway like he actually has a right to be here, wearing a dark suit that probably cost more than my entire outfit, looking uncomfortable in the way people do when they're not sure if anyone actually wants them around. Because spoiler alert, no one wants him here. My stomach drops. He's not family. He's not a family friend. He's just my ex. We dated for 3 years, broke up almost 2 years ago, and he has absolutely no business at my grandfather's funeral. The only connection he has to this moment is the one he manufactured by dating me, and that's over. Done. Finished. I feel my mother's hand on my arm. She's noticed him too. Her jaw is tight. Ignore him, she whispers, but it's not that simple. It's never that simple. Justin spots me across the room, and something shifts in his expression. He looks like he's actually going to come over. My hands clench into fists. Not today. Not now. We're grieving. My family is grieving. The absolute last thing we need is an awkward encounter with my failed relationship while we're saying goodbye to one of the most important people in our lives. But of course, he's heading this way. Of course he is. He reaches Emma first, which is somehow worse. My sister, who is still crying, who is still in that raw, open wound phase of grief where every breath feels like it hurts. And he, this man who barely knows her, who I brought to maybe 3 family events in 3 years, he reaches out and touches her shoulder. Hey Emma, he says, and his voice has that fake sympathy tone that makes my skin crawl. I'm really sorry about your grandpa. Emma nods, wiping her eyes. She's always been polite, even to people who don't deserve it. She gives him a watery smile and thanks him. She's gracious even in her devastation, which is one of the things I love about her. Then he says it. You know, you should probably take this somewhere else though. You're being kind of trashy, crying like that where everyone can see you. The room tilts. I'm not entirely sure what happens next because I think I actually black out for a second, like my brain just can't process the audacity, the sheer, breathtaking disrespect of what he just said. At a funeral. At my grandfather's funeral. To my grieving sister. But Emma's face crumples, and that's when I move. I'm suddenly between them, my hands up, and I don't even remember walking over. Justin looks startled, like he genuinely didn't realize saying something that cruel would be a problem. You need to leave, I say, and my voice sounds calm in a way that's almost scarier than if I was yelling. You need to leave right now. Look, I was just... No. I don't want to hear it. You show up uninvited to my grandfather's wake, you disrespect my sister while she's grieving, and then you act like you've done nothing wrong? Get out. My father is suddenly there, and without saying anything, he just gestures toward the door. Dad doesn't need to say words. Dad's presence is usually enough. Justin gets the message, mutters something about just trying to be respectful, which, and I can't stress this enough, you are not being, and leaves. But the damage is done. Emma is crying harder now, not from grief but from humiliation. I can see the other mourners have noticed. Aunts are whispering. Our family's private moment has been turned into gossip. And my grandfather's funeral, is now partially about the time my trashy ex-boyfriend called my sister trashy. I hold Emma while she falls apart. Later, after we've all gotten through the service, after the burial, after the endless parade of people telling us things like he's in a better place now, which, duh, he's dead, any place without pain is technically better, I'm in my car heading home and I start thinking about Justin in a way I hadn't let myself think about him in months. He still has that money. The money I co-signed for. The $15,000 personal loan he took out a year and a half ago, back when we were still pretending we had a future together. He needed it for a business venture, or at least that's what he told me. He was very persuasive. He was very good at making me feel like a bad girlfriend if I didn't help him. A quick Google search on my phone at a red light tells me what I already suspect, he's engaged now. I find a wedding website. June 15th. 3 months away. The page is full of vendor information, and more importantly, wedding expenses. And I'm still his cosigner. I sit in my parked car in my driveway, the engine idling, my hands gripping the steering wheel, and I think about what I can do. What I have the legal right to do. The loan terms are pretty clear. As a cosigner, I'm jointly responsible. But I also have options. I have options that Justin doesn't even know about yet. Hashtag chunk 2, the research. I don't sleep that night. Instead, I'm at my kitchen table at 2 a.m. with my laptop open, a cup of cold coffee sitting next to me, and my phone in my other hand. I pulled up the loan documents, the ones I digitally filed away and tried to forget about, and I'm reading through them with the kind of focused intensity one usually reserved for work deadlines. The cosigner agreement is right there in Section 4, Subsection B. I'd signed it without really reading it, which is exactly the kind of stupid decision that gets you into situations like this. Justin had sat across from me at the bank, all charm and promises, his hand on my knee under the table, telling me this was just a formality. That he'd pay it back on time, no problem. That he loved me and would never put me in a position where I'd actually have to worry about the debt. Spoiler alert, he's already paying it back late. According to the account statement I pull up online, he's missed 2 payments in the last 6 months. My heart rate picks up. I read further, cross-referencing everything on the bank's website with the physical documents I'd kept in a file folder in my closet. The folder I hadn't opened since maybe 6 months after we broke up. The folder that represents some of the worst financial judgment of my adult life. There it is. The acceleration clause. As a cosigner with joint liability, I have the authority to request loan acceleration, meaning I can demand the entire remaining balance be paid in full immediately if the borrower defaults or if I determine he's in breach of the loan agreement. It's a nuclear option, something banks include to protect themselves and any cosigners. Something I vaguely remember being mentioned when we signed, something I'd nodded along to without really processing. Something I never thought I'd actually use. I click through to my bank's customer service chat. Yes, I'm that person doing banking at 2 a.m., and spend 40 minutes asking hypothetical questions to a representative named Derek who probably thinks I'm insane. But the information is consistent. Yes, as a cosigner, I can request acceleration. Yes, it would require the full remaining balance immediately. Yes, it would likely tank his credit score. Yes, it would be perfectly legal. My hands are shaking by the time I close the chat. I tell myself I'm just gathering information. I'm just understanding my options. I'm not actually going to do this. This is just research. The kind of thing you do when you're angry and can't sleep and need to feel like you have some control in a situation where you've previously felt helpless. Except that's a lie, and I know it. Because the more I think about it, the more sense it makes. He disrespected my family at the worst possible moment. He showed up uninvited, inserted himself into our private grief, and then had the audacity to mock my sister for having emotions. Normal emotions. Appropriate emotions for a funeral. And then he just left, probably thinking he'd done nothing wrong, probably not even feeling the weight of what he'd said. Meanwhile, my sister won't talk about what happened without getting embarrassed. My mother keeps bringing it up in this tight, angry voice. My father, who barely says anything about anything, made a comment this morning about that disrespectful little shit not being welcome at any family events, ever. And I'm the one who brought him into our family. I'm the one who introduced him to these people. I'm responsible, in some way, for him being there. By Wednesday, I've worked myself into a state where I've looked up his wedding registry. It exists, of course it exists, and it's aggressively Pinterest perfect. His fiancée's Instagram, she seems nice, which somehow makes this worse, and the details of his new job, he got promoted. He got promoted and is still paying his loan late. I've also made a list of reasons why this is justified. 1. He breached the agreement by missing payments. 2. He showed up uninvited to a funeral. 3. He verbally disrespected my sister. 4. He took advantage of me financially when we were together. 5. His fiancée deserves to know what kind of person she's marrying. This one feels like a stretch even to me. By Friday, I'm explaining the loan acceleration option to my best friend Melissa over drinks, and she looks at me like I've suggested we commit a felony. So you're actually considering it, she says slowly, her margarita frozen halfway to her lips. I'm considering my options. Those are code words for I'm definitely doing this. Melissa sets down her drink. Okay, full transparency, I think what he did at the funeral was absolutely heinous. I think he's a garbage person. But this, she gestures vaguely at my laptop, which I brought because I'm apparently that person now. This is revenge. You know that, right? It's not revenge. It's exercising my legal rights. It's both things at the same time. Melissa leans back in her chair. And I'm not saying I won't support you, because I will. But I need you to know what you're doing here. This isn't about the money. This is about hurting him the way he hurt you and your family. I want to argue with her, but I can't, because she's right. That's exactly what this is. And the worst part? That's not even the part that worries me anymore. What worries me is that I'm going to do it anyway. By the weekend, I've talked myself into it and out of it approximately 7,000 times. I've made pros and cons lists. I've called my sister to see how she's doing. She says she's fine, which is how Emma says everything, but I can hear the hurt underneath it. I've avoided calling my mother because I know she's still furious, and I'm afraid of what her reaction will be if I tell her what I'm planning. I'm afraid she'll tell me not to do it. Or worse, I'm afraid she'll tell me to go for it. Saturday night, I'm at my parents' house for dinner, a thing we've been doing since Grandpa died, this Friday or Saturday night tradition of making sure nobody's falling apart alone, and my mother brings it up unprompted. Have you heard from Justin? She asks carefully, the way you ask about an allergy or a wound that hasn't quite healed. No, I say, which is technically true. Why? I just want to make sure he understands that he's not welcome at any family functions ever again. That what he did, my mother sets down her fork, and I can see the anger in her jaw. What he said to Emma was unforgivable. My father, sitting across from me, nods his agreement. He's not saying anything, but his presence says everything. And I think about Justin, probably at his fiancée's place, planning his perfect wedding, probably having already forgotten that he called my sister trashy at my grandfather's funeral. Probably thinking he did nothing wrong. I think about my options. About the acceleration clause. About the power I'm holding in my hands without him even knowing it. I think about how easy it would be. He should know, my mother continues, that there are consequences for treating people that way. I look at my mother. I look at my father. I think about Emma's crumpled face. And I decide. #Chunk 3. The decision feels simultaneously monumental and hollow, like I'm watching myself make it from somewhere outside my own body. I don't say anything to my parents that night, just nod along, help clear the dishes, give my mom a hug goodbye that feels heavier than usual. But by Sunday morning, I've already started drafting the email to the bank. I don't send it. Not yet. But I open it a dozen times, read through the carefully worded request, imagine hitting send the way you might imagine jumping off a cliff, with a sick mix of dread and anticipation. What stops me, initially, isn't conscience. It's logistics. On Monday, while I'm pretending to work on a presentation that nobody will see until Wednesday, I do something I haven't done in years. I actually go through my email archives looking for Justin's full legal name. The one on the loan documents. The one that's slightly different from how he signs his emails, and I realize this is the kind of small detail that matters when you're about to blow someone's life apart. I find it. Of course I do. Justin Michael Caldwell. 28 years old. Engaged to someone named Stephanie. Having a wedding in 4 weeks that, according to his fiance's enthusiastically maintained Pinterest board, involves a destination venue, a 150-person guest list, and approximately $40,000 in planned expenses. The $15,000 he borrowed from me is probably funding the rehearsal dinner. Maybe the flowers. Definitely part of the honeymoon. I'm spiraling, I know this, but I can't stop researching. I find his LinkedIn profile, which is notably private except for his job title, account manager at Riverside Financial Services. I find his Instagram through his fiance's followers. I find a wedding website with a countdown clock. 32 days until the wedding. The acceleration clause would need to be submitted at least 14 days before the wedding, according to Derek the bank representative, to give Justin the legal minimum notice period. That leaves me with about 2 weeks before I lose the opportunity to time this for maximum impact. 2 weeks to change my mind. 2 weeks to live with what I'm about to do. On Tuesday, Emma calls me. This is unusual enough that I pick up immediately, my stomach dropping. Are you okay? I ask. Yeah, I'm fine. I wanted to ask you something. Emma's voice has that careful quality that suggests whatever she's about to ask has been building in her head for a while. Did you know Justin was going to be at the funeral? My throat goes tight. No. Why? Because I saw him talking to Dad before it started. Like, they seem to know each other? And I keep wondering if maybe you told him about Grandpa dying, and I'm just... She trails off. I'm trying to understand why he was there. I promise I didn't tell him. I hadn't talked to Justin since we broke up. This is technically true, though it feels like a lie in spirit. He might have seen the obituary. It was in the paper. Right. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. She doesn't sound convinced. It's just... I keep playing it over in my head. What he said. And I keep wondering if I was being too loud, if I was embarrassing everyone, Anne. You were not being loud, I interrupt. And you were not embarrassing anyone. You were grieving. You were allowed to grieve. I know, but... Emma, no. I don't want to hear any buts. He was a dick. He said something cruel about you for no reason except that he's the kind of person who hurts people. That's not about you. That's about him being bad. There's a silence on the other end of the line, and then Emma says quietly, do you think he'll apologize? The question hits me like cold water. What? I ask stupidly. I don't know, I keep thinking maybe if he realized how much that hurt, he might reach out and apologize. People do that sometimes, right? When they feel bad about something? I think about Justin. I think about the fact that he's shown no remorse, no sign of understanding that what he did was wrong. I think about him at his fiance's place, probably telling her the story of the funeral, probably making himself the sympathetic character somehow, the guy who showed up to pay his respects despite his breakup with me, the guy who made an offhand comment that sensitive people took the wrong way. I don't think he's the kind of person who apologizes, I tell Emma, and I mean it. Yeah, she says softly. I figured. After we hang up, I sit in my office with the door closed and think about what Emma asked. About whether I think he'll apologize. The answer is no, and that certainty does something to me. It crystallizes things. It makes the abstract concept of revenge feel less like revenge and more like justice. He won't apologize on his own. He won't feel bad about what he did. He'll never understand the impact of his words on my sister because people like him don't think about impact, they only think about themselves. So maybe he needs to feel something. Maybe he needs consequences. Wednesday morning, I'm in back-to-back meetings, but I'm not really present. I'm thinking about the loan. About my power. About the fact that I've spent the last 4 days mentally rehearsing the conversation I'll have with myself when I do this, the justifications I'll use, the way I'll frame it as accountability rather than revenge. By afternoon, I've convinced myself that the moral high ground is actually where I'm standing. He breached the agreement, twice, with missed payments. That's fact. The acceleration clause exists for exactly this reason. I'm not doing anything illegal or even particularly unusual. I'm exercising a right that cosigners have specifically to protect themselves. I'm almost believing it when my phone buzzes with a text from my mother. Your father and I have decided to hire a lawyer about your grandfather's estate. It might take a while, but we want to make sure everything's handled properly. Thought you should know. Love you. I stare at the message. The estate. Grandpa's will. The inheritance that's supposed to come to me, to Emma, to all of us. The part of him that's still providing for us, still taking care of the family even from beyond the grave. And then I think about how Grandpa would feel if he knew what I was planning. Not the abstract concept of it, the specific, concrete reality of me weaponizing a loan agreement to hurt someone, no matter how much they deserve it. I think about what he'd say, with those kind eyes and that disappointed shake of his head. That's not who you are, I can hear him saying clearly. That's letting him make you into something you're not. I close my laptop. I put my phone face down on my desk. By Friday, I still haven't sent the acceleration request. But I also haven't deleted the draft. I'm living in the space between the two, and it's getting harder to breathe there. #chunk4. The thing about living in limbo is that it doesn't stay still. It metastasizes. By the following Monday, I've done something I promised myself I wouldn't do. I've told someone. Not Emma. Not my parents. But Derek from the bank, who called me on Friday afternoon about a routine loan status check, and I found myself actually talking to him, really talking, not the polite non-answers I'd planned. I'm thinking about invoking the acceleration clause, I heard myself say. But I wanted to understand the exact timeline and process first. Derek had been professional, helpful. He'd explained the mechanics again, but this time he'd also added something unprompted. You know, cosigners usually only do this when they're concerned about default risk. Is that something you're worried about? I'd lied and said yes. Technical truth, I'd rationalized. Justin could default. He's getting married in less than a month. He probably can't pay off $15,000 in 14 days. That was Friday. Today is Monday, and I'm sitting in the conference room of my accounting firm listening to my boss, Patricia, explain the quarterly tax implications for a client I've never met, and all I can think about is the fact that Derek knows I'm planning something. That somewhere in the bank's database, there's now a note attached to Justin's file that I've inquired about acceleration procedures. My phone buzzes. A calendar reminder I'd set weeks ago. Emma's therapy appointment, support call after if needed. Emma's therapy appointment. I excuse myself from the meeting, telling Patricia I need to take a call, and slip into the bathroom. I sit on the closed toilet seat and call my sister. She answers on the third ring, and her voice sounds better than it did last week. That's what kills me. That's the thing that makes my chest feel too tight. She's healing. She's already starting to move past what happened at the funeral, what Justin said, and I've been sitting here for a week planning to create a whole new trauma for her. Not directly, of course. This isn't about Emma. It's about Justin. It's about justice. Except justice and revenge have started to look increasingly similar to me. Hey, you, Emma says. What's up? Shouldn't you be working? I'm on a break. How was your appointment? Oh, it was good actually. Dr. Chen thinks I'm doing really well considering everything. She says grief isn't linear, but my anxiety levels are stable, which is apparently a good sign. I close my eyes. I'm really glad, Em. Yeah, me too. Hey, did Mom tell you that Justin sent Dad an email? My eyes snap back open. What? Yeah, like, Friday I think? Dad mentioned it over dinner last night. Apparently Justin was apologizing for the comment at the funeral, saying he felt terrible about it, that he'd been dealing with some personal stress and took it out on me, and he hoped we could all move forward as mature adults or whatever. The bathroom tilts slightly. What did Dad say? I ask, and my voice sounds strange to my own ears. He said he accepted the apology and that he hoped Justin would make better choices in the future. He seemed pretty satisfied with it, honestly. Mom wasn't in the room, but I'm pretty sure if she had been, she would have been meaner about it. Emma laughs a little. So I guess your hunch was wrong? He does apologize after all. I can't speak. Are you there? Emma asks. Yeah. I'm here. That's great, Em. I'm really glad he apologized. After we hang up, I sit in that bathroom stall for probably 5 minutes longer than is professional. Justin apologized. Not because he understood, not because he felt genuine remorse, that part of my analysis was probably correct. But he did it. He made the gesture. He took the step that I'd been so certain he would never take. And it changes things. I think about the draft email still sitting in my outbox. I think about Derek at the bank. I think about the 14-day window rapidly closing. I think about the wedding in 23 days and the fact that Justin, however cynical his motivation, did do the right thing. When I get back to the conference room, Patricia is showing charts to the client. I sit down and pull out my laptop and I don't look at the email that's been haunting me all week. Tuesday night, my mom calls. Hi honey, how's work? It's fine, Mom. How are you? I'm good. Actually, I wanted to talk to you about something. Your father mentioned that Justin reached out about the funeral, and I realized I wanted to get your perspective on something. My stomach drops. What? Well, it's just. Emma seems much lighter since she heard from him. And I'm wondering if maybe we've been too hard on him? People make mistakes. People say things they don't mean. And he did apologize sincerely. Your father said his email was very genuine. Mom. I'm not saying we should all be best friends or anything. But I'm wondering if it might be better for everyone, especially Emma, if we could all just move forward. You know? Let it go? This is a trap, I realize. Not from my mom, from the universe, from fate, from whatever cosmic force enjoys watching people squirm. Because now I have to think about what happens if I don't invoke the acceleration clause. What if I just let it go? What if I let Justin keep his wedding? What if I let him have his happy ending with Stephanie and their 150 guests and their $40,000 celebration? What if I let him live a normal life unburdened by consequences? I think you might be right, I tell my mom, and I mean it. And I hate that I mean it. After we hang up, I do something I've been avoiding all week. I open the draft email to the bank. My fingers hover over the delete button. 14 days. That's how long I have before the window closes. 14 days before the acceleration clause becomes pointless, before the wedding happens, before I can't use financial ruin as a weapon anymore. 14 days. I close the email without deleting it. I also don't send it. Wednesday morning, I wake up with a headache and the distinct feeling that I'm losing my mind. I've been living with this decision, non-decision, for 2 weeks now, and the weight of it is starting to show. I catch myself in the mirror and barely recognize my own face. When did I get these dark circles? My phone buzzes with a notification from Instagram. It's a photo posted by the wedding account, Justin and Stephanie, arms around each other, smiling at the camera with that specific kind of joy that belongs to people with no idea what's about to happen to them. The caption reads, 23 days until forever. 2 hearts. I screenshot it before I even realize what I'm doing. I don't know why. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. But I save it to my phone like some kind of evidence. Evidence of what, exactly, I still can't say. Hashtag chunk 5. The thing about living in limbo is that it has a half-life. You can't stay suspended in indecision forever, physics doesn't allow for it. Eventually, gravity wins. Something has to give. For me, it gives on Thursday night. I'm at dinner with my parents and Emma at our favorite Italian place downtown, the one Grandpa used to take us to for birthdays. It was supposed to be a casual thing, Mom's way of making sure we're all doing okay in the aftermath. What it actually is, I realized partway through the salad course, is an intervention disguised as family bonding. So, Dad says, setting down his fork with the kind of deliberate care that signals an important conversation is about to happen. Your mother and I wanted to check in with you about something. Here it comes. I can feel it like a barometer before a storm. About Justin, Mom adds, reaching over to squeeze my hand. We've been thinking about what he did at the funeral, and we've talked to Emma about it too. And I'm fine, really, Emma interrupts, looking between our parents with something like concern. I know everyone's been worried that I'm secretly traumatized or whatever, but honestly? The apology actually helped. I think I just needed to know he wasn't a complete sociopath. Right, Dad says, nodding. And that's actually what we wanted to talk about. We think it's important that the family present a unified front about forgiveness. Moving forward. I set my fork down slowly. Dad, where is this going? We think you should reach out to Justin, Mom says. Just a simple message. Let him know that you've accepted his apology too, and that there's no hard feelings about the loan situation. The breadbasket suddenly feels very far away from my reach. The loan isn't about hard feelings, I say carefully. The loan is a financial agreement. Of course, Dad says. But you're the cosigner, which means you have some leverage there, right? And we think it would be a nice gesture, a show of good faith, if you gave him some kind of reassurance that you're not going to use that against him. My mother is watching my face like she's trying to read something written in a language she doesn't speak. Honey, you're not planning to use that against him, are you? This is it. This is the moment where I have to answer the question that I've been avoiding asking myself for 2 weeks. Am I planning to destroy Justin? And if I'm not, if I truly had decided to let it go, like I told my mom I would, then why haven't I deleted that email? Why haven't I called Derek back and told him to disregard my previous inquiry? Why does checking Justin's Instagram have become a compulsion I can't break? No, I say. I'm not. It feels like a lie and the truth at the same time. Good, Mom says, and she sounds genuinely relieved. Because honestly, sweetie, I've been a little worried about you this week. You've seemed tense. Work is stressful, I offer, which is technically true, though not in the way she thinks. But Emma is looking at me with that particular expression of sibling intuition, the one that means she's picking up on something off. Are you sure you're okay? She asks. You've been weird since the funeral. I'm fine, I say. Just tired. What I don't say is that I haven't slept properly in 14 days. What I don't say is that I've refreshed Justin's Instagram so many times that I have the wedding countdown memorized to the day and hour. What I don't say is that I'm sitting at a table with my family, a family that's asking me to be the bigger person, and I'm not sure I know how to do that anymore. The dinner continues. We talk about work and Emma's therapy and whether Mom should paint the guest bedroom blue or sage green. It all feels very normal and very distant, like I'm watching it happen to someone else. When we leave, Mom hugs me extra long in the parking lot. I'm really proud of you, she says. For being mature about this. The guilt lands like a physical blow. Back at my apartment, I pour a glass of wine that I don't drink and open my laptop. The draft email is still there, exactly where I left it. I read it again, even though I've read it probably 50 times. Dear Derek. Asterisk, I would like to formally invoke the acceleration clause on the personal loan co-signed by myself and Justin Morris, loan number 47382956. The full outstanding balance of $15,000 should be due within 14 days of this communication. Please send the notification to the borrower at his address of record and confirm receipt asterisk. It's one sentence. One sentence that would destroy a wedding, derail a marriage before it starts, and make Justin's life significantly worse. One sentence that my mother has just asked me not to send. One sentence that I've been torturing myself about since the moment I typed it. I could delete it. I could close the laptop and go to bed and wake up tomorrow a better person. Instead, I do something worse. I call Derek. It's 10:47 p.m. on a Thursday, and I'm calling my loan officer at the bank like some kind of deranged person. He answers on the fourth ring, voice thick with sleep. Hello? Derek, I almost give my real name before switching to a formal tone. It's the cosigner from the Morris account. Loan 47382956. Oh. Hi. Is there an emergency? He sounds more awake now, concerned. No. No emergency. I wanted to confirm something. If I invoke the acceleration clause, there's no way for Justin to contest it? No legal recourse? There's a pause. A long one. You do have the authority as cosigner, Derek says carefully. And no, the borrower couldn't really contest it, that's literally what a cosigner agreement means you're allowed to do. But I have to ask, is everything okay? When we talked last week, you said you were worried about default risk, but now I'm wondering if... Everything's fine, I say, which is possibly the most transparent lie I've ever told. I just needed to verify the mechanics. After we hang up, I sit in my apartment in the dark and realize that I've just crossed some kind of line. I've confirmed it. I've spoken it out loud to a third party. This isn't abstract anymore. This is real. And tomorrow, I still have to decide whether to send the email. My phone buzzes. A text from Emma, asterisk Mom's worried about you. Are you sure everything's okay, asterisk? I don't respond. I can't. Because the honest answer is that I don't know who I am right now. I don't know if I'm the kind of person who sends that email, or the kind of person who deletes it. I don't know if I'm capable of forgiveness or if I'm too broken to ever let anything go. I just know that tomorrow is Friday, and that I have 13 days left before the window closes forever. And I'm no closer to deciding what I'm going to do. Hashtag chunk 6. Friday arrives with a kind of perfect weather that feels like a personal insult. Bright sun, soft breeze, the kind of day that makes you want to believe in second chances and new beginnings. I hate it immediately. I call in sick to work. Not a lie, exactly, I do feel physically ill, though it's more existential nausea than anything viral. My boss doesn't push back. Everyone's still being nice to me because of the funeral, which only makes me feel worse. Instead of going to the office, I sit at my kitchen counter and stare at my laptop. The email is still there. It's been there for 16 hours now, waiting in my drafts like a bomb with a countdown timer. 13 days left until the wedding. 13 days until the point of no return. My phone rings at 9:47 a.m. Unknown number. I almost don't answer, but something makes me pick up. Is this a good time? It's a woman's voice, professional but gentle. This is Sarah Chen from First National Bank. I'm calling about a cosigner concern that was flagged on your account. My stomach drops. I'm sorry, what? Derek mentioned you called last night with some questions about an acceleration clause. He just wanted to make sure everything was above board, so he had me reach out. We take cosigner agreements very seriously, especially when there might be any pressure or, she lowers her voice slightly, any domestic situation involved. What? No. I stopped myself. I'm not under any pressure. Okay, good. Because we do have protocols in place. You have every right to invoke the clause, of course, but I wanted to check in personally and make sure this is something you're choosing to do willingly. Sometimes people feel obligated. She's being so kind about it that it somehow makes everything worse. I haven't invoked anything, I say. I was just asking hypothetical questions. Right, understood. Well, if you do decide to move forward with acceleration, just know that you can reach out to me directly. And if you ever feel like you're in a situation where someone is pressuring you to take action against a borrower, there are resources. I thank her and hang up as quickly as I can without being rude. But the call has cracked something open in me. The bank is worried I might be being manipulated. My family is worried I'm being vengeful. Emma thinks I'm acting weird. And I'm sitting alone in my apartment at 10 in the morning on a Friday, calling loan officers in the dead of night. What the hell am I doing? I shower. I get dressed. I try to eat a piece of toast and give up halfway through. By noon, I can't stand being alone with my thoughts anymore, so I text Emma, want to grab lunch? She responds immediately, yes. Needed this. Where? We meet at the sandwich place near her apartment, one of those aggressively cheerful establishments with chalkboard signs and photos of local farms. Emma's already there when I arrive, sitting at a corner table with 2 iced teas already ordered. She looks at me with that expression again, the one that means she knows something's wrong even before I sit down. Talk, she says. About what? Whatever you've been not talking about since the funeral. I pick up my tea and take a long sip instead of answering. Emma waits. She's good at waiting. It's one of those annoying things about her. She doesn't fill silences, doesn't rush you. Just sits with the quiet until you break. Do you really forgive him? I finally ask. Justin? Or did you just say that to make everyone feel better? Emma considers this. I don't know, she says slowly. I think I'm working on it. Like, I was genuinely mad for a while there. But also, he did apologize, and he seemed like he actually meant it. And he has to live with being the kind of person who says that stuff, you know? I don't have to do anything. That's very mature, I say, and I can hear the bitterness in my voice. It's not mature, it's just tired, Emma corrects. I'm tired of being mad. Grandpa's dead, and Justin being a jerk at the funeral didn't change that, and me being angry about it won't change it either. So I'm choosing to let it go. Not because he deserves it, but because I deserve to not carry it around. I want to tell her she's right. I want to be the kind of person who can do that, just decide to let something go and actually mean it. But instead, what comes out is, what if you're the only one who pays the price for letting it go? Emma sets down her sandwich. Is this about the loan? The fact that she knows, that I didn't even have to say it, almost breaks me. I have the power to make his life very difficult right now. And you want to? It's not a question. I don't know, I say, which is the most honest thing I've said all week. He was awful. He showed up to Grandpa's funeral and publicly humiliated you. And then he just apologized? Like that fixes it? Like he gets to go back to his perfect life and his perfect wedding and none of it matters? Maybe he doesn't get to, Emma says quietly. Maybe he just gets to apologize and hope people accept it. And then he has to live with whether they did or not. That's not punishment. No, Emma agrees. It's not. But punishment isn't your job. The sandwich in front of me is getting soggy. I push the plate away. Mom and Dad are worried I'm going to do something vindictive. Are you? I don't know. The words come out louder than I intend. A couple at the next table glances over. I lower my voice. I've been thinking about it. Seriously thinking about it. Every day. And I can't decide if that makes me a bad person or just a normal person who's angry. Emma reaches across the table and grabs my hand. You're not a bad person. But I do think you need to decide what kind of person you want to be. Not for Mom and Dad. Not for Justin. For you. What if the person I want to be and the person I am are two different things? Then you've got some work to do, Emma says. But you've got time. I have time, I think. 13 days. That's 14 days of work and sleep and pretending everything's normal, minus 1 day to do something irreversible. Emma squeezes my hand. Whatever you're thinking about doing, it won't make you feel better. I promise you that. Revenge is like drinking seawater, it just makes you more thirsty. I want to argue. I want to tell her that she's wrong, that in this particular case, vindication would feel like justice. But looking at her face, tired and kind and worried about me, I can't convince either of us of that lie. We finish lunch mostly in silence. When we say goodbye, Emma hugs me for a long time. I love you, she says. Even when you're being weird and destructive. I haven't been destructive yet, I point out. I know, she says. That's why I'm still hopeful. That night, I sit at my laptop again. The email is still there. My hands hover over the keyboard. One click and I delete it. One click and I send it. I do neither. Instead, I close the laptop and go to bed, where I lie awake for another 7 hours, listening to my phone buzz with notifications I don't open, notifications that will, I realize tomorrow, make everything infinitely more complicated. #chunk7. The notifications start coming in Saturday morning, and they're worse than anything I could have anticipated. First, it's a text from Derek's mom. Just, can we talk? Then, within the hour, a Facebook message from Derek's best man, *K, I heard some weird stuff. Everything okay? Then my phone rings. It's my mother. Your father and I need to know what's going on, she says without preamble. Derek's mother just called us. She's very upset. I sit up in bed, my heart hammering. What did she say? She said you called the bank asking about acceleration clauses and that Derek had to contact them to make sure you weren't being coerced. She's worried there's some kind of situation. Is there? The lie forms automatically, I was just asking questions. I wanted to understand my options. Options for what, exactly? There's no good answer to that question. Just, in case. My mother is quiet for a long moment. In case what? In case something happened. In case I needed to protect myself financially. From Derek? Her voice rises slightly. You're still with Derek? No. God, no. But I'm still on the loan, Anne. So you're thinking about calling the loan due? It's not a question. She's figured it out. Of course she has. Before his wedding. I don't answer, which is answer enough. Sweetheart. She uses the tone she used when I was 8 and got caught lying about eating the entire sleeve of cookies. This isn't who you are. You don't know what he did. You don't know what he said about Emma. I do know. Emma told us. And we were all angry. But this isn't about justice. This is about revenge, and revenge will poison you. Maybe I deserve to be poisoned, I say, and immediately regret how petulant it sounds. No, my mother says firmly. You don't. You deserve to move forward. All of us do. After we hang up, I sit with my phone in my lap, watching the messages accumulate. Derek's mom texts twice more. My app responds to something I didn't even know was being discussed. By noon, my inbox looks like a small town's worth of people are all trying to stage an intervention from their individual homes. The worst part is that they're all coming from a place of genuine concern. Derek's mom isn't angry at me, she's worried about her son. My parents aren't disappointed in me, they're afraid for me. And me? I'm afraid of myself. At 2:47 p.m. on Saturday, Derek texts me directly for the first time since the funeral. Asterisk, I know you've been thinking about calling the loan. I talked to the bank. I want you to know that I understand why you're angry. I deserve it, asterisk. I stare at those words for so long my screen times out. He understands why I'm angry. He deserves it. He's giving me permission to destroy him. And somehow, that's the worst thing he could have done. Because if he's understanding about it, if he's accepting of it, then it's not justice. It's just me being cruel to someone who's already bracing for impact. It's like he's standing there with his hands up, and I'm deciding whether or not to hit him anyway. I don't respond. By Sunday, Derek's mother has called 3 times. She leaves voicemails, her voice progressively more strained. The third one breaks something in me. I know my son hurt your family. I know he said something terrible. He's ashamed of it. But calling the loan won't change anything, it won't bring your grandfather back, and it won't make your sister feel better. It will just make you someone you'll regret being. Please don't do this. Please. I delete the voicemail because I can't listen to it again. Sunday evening, Emma calls. Derek's mom called me, she says without greeting. She was. I don't know. Desperate? She wanted to know if there was anything she could do to make this right. She offered to pay for a memorial in Grandpa's name. She asked if I would talk to you. I don't want her money, I say. I know. I told her that. But she's scared. Derek's scared. He's been looking at apartments for the last 18 hours because he thinks he's about to lose his house. My stomach lurches. What? He's already spending money trying to get ahead of you. He took out another loan against the house to have cash on hand in case you call the first one. He's literally preparing for financial catastrophe. Is that what you want? I don't want. I'm not trying to. Aren't you though? Emma's voice isn't unkind, but it's cutting. Isn't that exactly what you're trying to do? After we hang up, I realize I haven't left my apartment in 2 days. My trash has accumulated. My laundry has piled up. I've been sitting in my bed refreshing my email and my bank account statements and Derek's Facebook page, where he started deleting photos of him and me from a few years ago, scrubbing the digital evidence that we ever existed as a couple. It's effective. It's also heartbreaking in a way I didn't anticipate. He's erasing me preemptively, making sure there's no evidence of his poor judgment in the public record. Monday, I have to go back to work. My coworker Jen notices immediately. You look like hell, she says, not unkindly. Bad weekend. Talk about it? So I do. I tell her everything, the funeral, the loan, the power I have, the revenge I've been considering. She listens without judgment, letting me get it all out of my system. When I finish, she says, can I ask you something? What happens after you call the loan? He suffers. His wedding gets cancelled. He has to face consequences. Right. And then what? Do you feel better? I should. That's not what I asked. Do you feel better? I think about Emma lying awake with that question, about my mother's disappointed voice, about Derek's mother's voicemail, about Derek taking out another loan in panic. No, I finally admit. I don't think I would. Then what's the point? Jen shrugs. I mean, beyond the moment of satisfaction, which is real but temporary, what are you actually accomplishing? I'm making him pay for what he did. Is he, though? Or are you making yourself pay for it? That night, I open my laptop. The email is still there, saved in drafts exactly as I left it. 13 days have become 6. The wedding is next Saturday. My cursor hovers over the delete button. I think about Grandpa, who lived his whole life trying to be the kind of person who made things better, not worse. Who would have hated seeing his funeral become the catalyst for this? I think about the person I want to be. I delete the email. Then I delete the email recovery from trash, making sure there's no way I can retrieve it in a moment of weakness. Then I call Derek. Hello? He sounds shocked to hear from me. I'm not calling the loan, I say. You're going to be fine. You and your fiancé are going to have your wedding, and you're going to move on. But you're going to remember what you did. You're going to remember that you hurt my family at the worst time, and the only reason your life isn't destroyed is because I chose not to destroy it. And you're going to live with that. Does that sound fair? There's a long silence. Yes, he finally says. That's more than fair. Thank you. I hang up before he can say anything else. Hashtag chunk 8, the aftermath. The following Thursday, I'm sitting in my office when my phone buzzes. It's a text from Derek's mom, asterisk I wanted you to know that Derek told us everything. What you did, choosing not to call the loan, it's the most generous thing anyone has ever done for him. He knows that. We all know that. Thank you, asterisk. I don't respond, but I don't delete it either. I just read it a few times and then set the phone down. That evening, I drive to the cemetery for the first time since Grandpa's funeral. The grass has started to green up, and someone, probably my aunt, has left fresh flowers by his headstone. I sit on the ground beside it, not caring that my work pants are getting dirty. Hey, Grandpa, I say, feeling stupid but continuing anyway. I almost did something really awful. Something you would have hated. But I didn't, so. I guess that counts for something. The wind rustles through the trees. A bird calls somewhere distant. I think I understand now why you were always so worried about people becoming hard. It's easy, you know? It would have been so easy to just destroy him. And part of me still wants to, but I don't know. There's something worse about becoming the kind of person who would do that just because she could. You taught me better than that. I sit there for a long time, just breathing, just existing in the space my grief has carved out. Eventually, the sun starts to set, painting everything golden orange, and I head home. Friday afternoon, I'm at the grocery store when I run into Derek's fiancée, Sophie. I recognize her from his Facebook photos, before he deleted them all, and my first instinct is to flee. But she sees me first, and she makes eye contact, and something about her expression makes me stay. Hi, she says cautiously, approaching with a basket in hand. You're the ex, aren't you? Yes, I say. I'm sorry about what I said to Derek. It wasn't appropriate to. Actually, no. She holds up a hand, and I notice her engagement ring catches the fluorescent light. Derek told me everything. All of it. And I want you to know that what you did, what you didn't do, it matters. He's been different since your call. Quieter. More thoughtful. I think maybe he needed that reality check without the catastrophe. I'm glad, I say, and I realize I actually mean it. My dad is a cosigner on his car, Sophie continues. Derek told me about that relationship, how it gave him this weird sense of power and control over his son, even though they're supposed to be adults. He said he never realized how it must have felt to have someone hold that kind of financial leverage over you for years. He apologized to his dad about it. They'd been working on their relationship. I hadn't expected ripple effects like this. I hadn't expected my choice not to hurt him to somehow help him become better anyway. Thank you for telling me, I say. Thank you for being the bigger person, she replies. I know it wasn't easy. We part ways in the produce section, and I feel something settle in my chest that's been tense for weeks. Saturday arrives, Derek's wedding day. I don't go, of course, but Emma sends me photos. Derek looks genuinely happy. Sophie looks radiant. His mom is crying happy tears. In one photo, Derek is dancing with Emma, and even in a still frame, I can see that something has shifted between them, a tentative reconciliation, maybe, or at least the beginning of one. My mom calls that evening. How are you feeling, she asks. Surprisingly okay, I say. Is that weird? Not weird at all. I'm proud of you, sweetheart. I know that was hard. It would have been harder the other way, I say, and I mean it. Over the following weeks, life settles into a new normal. I go to therapy for the first time in years and talk about anger management and about how easy it is to slip into patterns of revenge instead of healing. My therapist helps me understand that anger is valid, but acting on it destructively doesn't actually protect anyone, it just spreads the hurt further. Derek's mom sends me a donation receipt in the mail. She and Derek have set up a scholarship in Grandpa's name at the local community college, specifically for first-generation students studying engineering, Grandpa's field. The donation is substantial. The note reads, in gratitude and in honor of a man who clearly raised his family to be better than their circumstances. I cry when I read it. Emma asks me to coffee in early May, and she brings Derek with her. I'm nervous, but she seems to have orchestrated this as a way to help us both move forward without rancor. I wanted to say thank you, Derek says, looking genuinely uncomfortable. And I wanted to apologize. For what I said about Emma. For showing up at the funeral in the first place. For being selfish and cruel. Okay, I say. I accept your apology. And for what it's worth, I'm not with you because you didn't destroy me. I'm grateful for that, sure. But I'm here because you made me want to be better. You had every right to hurt me, and you chose not to. That's something I want to live up to. After they leave, Emma and I sit for a long time with our coffee. You did the right thing, she says finally. I know, I say. But it would have been more satisfying to do the wrong thing. Probably, Emma agrees. But you wouldn't have been able to live with yourself. No, I say. I wouldn't have. By summer, the loan is still in my name as cosigner, but Derek is making regular payments. Sometimes I think about the weight of that responsibility, but mostly I've made peace with it. It's a financial reminder of the power I have and the power I chose not to use. It's a daily reinforcement that I'm the kind of person who chooses the harder right over the easier wrong. Grandpa would have been proud. I think I'm proud too.